So I just completed a 30-day fast, and the purpose of this video is to kind of explain to you what I learned during this challenge. I'm going to give you 3 key takeaways, and then at the end of the video, I'm going to share with you some information that I know will help you as it relates to you getting rid of belly fat, getting shredded, getting more discipline, because those 3 things definitely happened to me. I got rid of belly fat, I got shredded, and I definitely got some discipline. So before I get into it, let me kind of back up and say this. I didn't take any before and afters this year, but last year when I did this same fast, I did every single day. And that video is available right here. You can click on that and watch that after this one. And I also wrote an ebook called Rama Ripped. It's on my website, and those links are down here below me. But the fast that I did was Ramadan. Now, I'm not Muslim, but I have training partners who are. And last year when I did this fast, I didn't have any intention on like doing the full 30 days. But what I did want to do is kind of experience their process in doing this fast. So I just very kind of nonchalantly said to them, hey, I'm going to do this with you for a couple of days. And they looked right back at me and said, Clark, you're not a couple of day kind of guy. You're going to go all in on this because that's who you are. So that's one thing I want you to understand. Whatever fast you choose to do, go all in on it, man. Don't half-ass it, because half-assing things is what ends us up in the position that we're in life if we're not happy with where we're at. And you're watching this video right now because you're probably not happy with the way you look, right? That's why people follow me, because they say, Clark, I want to look the best I can, and you're somebody I think can help me do that. So that's why I'm sharing this information with you right now, because I know fasting will definitely help you get to where you want to go. And the thing is there are so many different fasting protocols, and I'm simply sharing with you what I did during this Ramadan fast. Now, if you don't know how it works, it's like intermittent fasting. You know, intermittent fasting, you don't eat during a certain window, and then you eat during a certain window. So like 16-8 is a really popular fasting schedule that people use. But for Ramadan, you don't eat, drink, put anything in your mouth, a toothbrush, you don't kiss your wife, you don't have sex or any of that from sun up to sundown. You dry fast, sun up to sundown. It's that basic. Now, another thing that people use fasting for, obviously, based upon this description of what I did, is for spiritual reasons. If you want to like dig into your spiritual practice, fasting is a good way to do it, because every religion under the sun has some form of fasting. Ramadan for Muslims, Lent for Catholics, Jesus fasted for 40 days. So there's evidence on all levels that fasting is beneficial to us. So the first week I'll share with you is the hardest for sure. So let's say you want to fast for 3 days. The first 3 days are the hardest. If you've never done this before, I would encourage you to go beyond 3 days, because if you make it to 3 days, you've done the hardest work. Like everything after 3 days becomes really easy. So the first week for me, getting past day 3 was a little bit of a struggle, but I know based upon experience that, like I just said, when I get to day 4, it's going to be a breeze. So week 1 was easy. Week 2 and the rest of the weeks, 3 or 2 through 4, were easy to do. The hardest part was the water. Now, a regular fast wouldn't necessarily require that you do it dry. Some people choose to do a dry fast. They can go up to like, I don't know how many days without water, but that's not the point behind this video here. The point is for you to understand that when you fast for the purpose of losing weight, all you're doing is putting yourself in a calorie deficit. That is it, regardless of what fasting protocol you use. So again, if it's a 16-8, all you're doing is putting yourself in a calorie deficit. That is why you lose weight. So the question you need to ask yourself when starting one for yourself, is this something that I can maintain, or can I maintain the results that I got afterwards? Because one thing that I'll warn you of that I learned personally after the end of week 4 is you just want to eat everything. Right? Even during Ramadan, when the fast ended in the evening around 7:10, 7:15, you just want to just gorge yourself with food. So discipline is necessary, and that is definitely something that I got. So anyway, the first 3 days was the hardest, and then it was really easy after that. The water was the hardest thing. The first takeaway that I want you to understand, and I want you to write this down, is we eat too much. The bottom line is we eat too much. And if you're watching this video, most likely you are in the United States. You live in the Western culture where we eat too much food. Period. End of story. And the reason we eat too much, in my opinion, is that we're bored, right? We're sitting around, we're not doing anything, so we go and open the refrigerator and look for something to eat. So therefore, we're consuming too many calories, which would stand to reason that is why you have gained weight, right? Because if a calorie deficit makes you lose weight, then too many calories makes you gain weight. It's pretty much that simple. Now, there will be people who argue against that, but I'm not here to argue science. I'm simply here to share with you what I learned during this process. So let me give you this analogy. People always ask me what I think about intermittent fasting. And intermittent fasting to me is done naturally by nature of us being humans and busy humans, because if you were busy and you didn't eat, let's say for the purpose of what I did, from sun up to sundown, because you were busy during that time, you would not think about food because you were distracted by being busy. But if now you suddenly put this framework around it, I cannot eat because I have chosen not to eat by choosing to do fasting. Now you've switched it around, and because you cannot do something, that makes you want to do it. That is just the nature of us being humans. So we need to understand that we need to shift the framework around how we do things. So if you were busy, you would not be tempted to eat because it would not be on the front of your mind like it is when you're fasting. So that is takeaway number one. We eat too much. Takeaway number two is we're spoiled. Again, if you're watching me, you are in the United States or you live in the Western culture where we have abundance. Now, for the purpose of Ramadan, the reason Muslims do Ramadan and do a dry fast is to understand and put yourself in a position of somebody who doesn't have the abundance that we have in our Western culture. Not everyone can go to the refrigerator and say, what do I want to eat when they're bored? They can't do that when they're hungry. They can't do that if they're starving. So maybe this is something you want to apply to your fasting, again, to give it a different framework other than, hey, I just want to lose belly fat. While that is great and it's important to be healthy, sometimes when we shift the framework behind it, it makes it easier for us to do this, because if we're recognizing that other cultures, other people aren't as fortunate and as spoiled as we are, and they can't go grab a bottle of water, open a faucet, run clean water, and we realize that we are really spoiled, it helps us shift our mindset towards us doing this fast. It's really important that when we embark in something like this, if we've tried it before and we were not successful, we need to shift the framework around it. I'm big on doing that. It's like this, right? This is a frame. If it's always been, I can't eat because I'm fasting, if you shift it a little bit from, I choose not to eat, and because I am recognizing that other people aren't as spoiled as me and that we eat too much, the first two takeaways. Speaking of abundance, with the fact that we eat too much, let's say you go into your office and there are donuts laying there. You will be tempted by those donuts, and you might justify eating a donut or a bagel or something that you know isn't on your program. It's the justification that gets us in trouble. It's the fact that we say, it's just a donut, it's just that. I hear these justifications all the time. In my gym that I train at, they have donuts there every Saturday. And I listen to people who come out and say, oh yeah, I just worked out really hard, I'm gonna have a donut. Why just tread water when you could improve your life? When you rationalize a decision like eating something that is too high in sugar, too high in carbohydrates, processed or something like that, you're just justifying staying the same and not improving and advancing and getting better. So if you're gonna fast and you're going to suffer, as some people refer to it, why not do it with the intention of getting better? Okay? So the first takeaway was we eat too much. The second takeaway was we are spoiled. And the third takeaway that I got from this is time flies. I had mentioned that Ramadan is 30 days long. It went by that quick. So if you're fasting for 30 days, know that the discipline you apply towards doing that, or the suffering that you go through because you want to lose weight, get shredded, or get disciplined, will pass. There's a scripture in the Bible that says, this too shall pass. This will pass. 3 days will fly by, and you will get beyond that if you want to go into day 4, 5, 6, 7, if you're going to do a 7-day fast. There are a variety of different ways. Like, this is not an educational thing on fasting and the different reasons you should fast and all of the cell autophagy and things that happen and apoptosis and all of this stuff that you learn during certain phases of fasting. After 24 hours, this happens. After 48 hours, that happens. After 72 hours, this happens. This is not meant to be that intense of a teaching on fasting. There are other people who can do this better for you. I'm coming from a practical application of a guy who just did it myself and got great benefits from not eating during a certain time and digging in, even though Ramadan is not something that I practice as a religion. I practiced it, one, to understand the spiritual discipline. I want to learn. I want to grow. I want to appreciate other cultures. I'm that guy. Like, I'll do different things, and someone might say, aren't you a Christian? Yeah, big deal. It doesn't matter. Like, Jesus fasted for 40 days. So this is just a stupid topic of conversation if someone wants to argue that point. It's not what it's about. So I want you to understand that when you go into this, you should go into it with the intention, in my opinion, of becoming a more disciplined human. Regardless of all of the ancillary benefits or direct benefits that you get from fasting, the ultimate goal for us, based upon my experience in working with men who come to me and say, Clark, man, I seen you on YouTube, I saw you on Instagram or TikTok, and you seem like a guy that can help me. And they start telling me all the reasons they're 40, 50, 60, 100 pounds overweight. I say, listen, man, the number one thing you need is discipline. You don't need motivation. You don't need like another program. You don't need me to tell you to walk on the treadmill longer. You need discipline in your life. That is what fasting will do for you, above and beyond all of the other benefits that are proven by science and other people who have just practically applied it to their life like I have. So again, the 3 takeaways. We eat too much, we are spoiled, we have abundance, and time flies. There are certainly a lot more than this, but I want you to understand that when you apply fasting to your life, you will see a multitude of benefits. Not just weight loss. Maybe you get shredded. Yes, you're going to get some discipline. You're going to be an example to other people. So how can you apply this to your life? Like, what can you do now? If you say, okay, Clark, I get it. I want to fast. I've never done it before. How do I get started? Plan your date. I want you to set a date right now. So if today's Friday, plan on Monday. If you know you're going on a trip and you know that will kind of put you off, then plan it for after the trip. But here's something I need you to understand when you start your fast. There will be inconvenience involved. It will never be convenient for you to fast. Understand this. Last year, man, I had so many things scheduled that if I would have put off fasting until all of those things were off my schedule, there would have been more things put on my schedule and I never would have started it. So you're going to need to sacrifice being at a family dinner, going out to a concert where you had dinner scheduled. Sit there and drink water. It's not that hard. You're not gonna die. Don't put something off till tomorrow that you could do today. I deal with guys every single day and I hear this shit. Clark, I travel all the time for work. It doesn't matter if you're fasting at home or if you're fasting in Rome. You need to just understand that you might be at a party. It might be your kid's birthday party. Maybe you had something planned for a year. You don't need to explain anything to anybody. You don't need to do anything for anybody but yourself. So if you've never done this and you don't understand the benefits, rewatch this video because I gave you some very good reasons and takeaways that I know will benefit you when you start this. So set a date to start. Commit to the process. Get an accountability partner. Maybe get someone to do it with you. There is joy in community. Like, I have a program. I could put you in a group of people who will hold you accountable. I always say this, you're only committed to what you confess. So if you don't think you can be successful on your own, tell somebody, reach out to me and say, Clark, I'm going to start a fast on Monday. Will you hold me accountable? We can make it happen. I'm not going to sit here and say there's 10,000 people that watch this. I'm not going to hold 10,000 people accountable unless you join my program. So anyway, with all that being said, there's someone in your life who will hold you accountable. Commit to the process. Set a date. Tell somebody. Get an accountability partner and start your fast. I promise you. And I'm really interested to know if you've ever fasted before, if there are more takeaways that you think people can benefit from, list them in the comments, man. Say, hey, this is what I learned when I fasted, and post it down there. Or if you have questions about it, if I didn't clearly explain it enough to you, ask down here below. I promise I will answer those questions, because I want you to also understand the benefits of pushing yourself to places that you would not normally go, because we live in such an abundant world. Don't let abundance be what holds you back from being successful. All right, I'm done here. Make it a great day.